Hi, fam. Let me tell you, all this big money that you hear, we've lost billions here, we've lost billions here. This is the regime preparing themselves for 2027. All these big billions are going to be used, especially in the villages, to try and convince us that they've done something, rather than using the money for development, real development. What UDA is doing, it has ganged up and gotten everybody who can be bought on board using the big B's, because let me tell you the truth. The regime has all the big money. That's why every day you hear we are losing billions here. Like now, did you just hear that we lost billions, 11.6 billions in SHA? In a span of 6 months, the money is gone like a bubble. So UDA has ganged up and they got pamphlets with what they're calling scorecards.
Annie and Aaron have taken time to explain to us. And the reason why you have a pamphlet, kila mtu wako na pamphlet hapa saizi, on the scorecard of the party, so that you can stand on any forum and explain to the people of Kenya where we were, where we are, and where we are going. Si kila mtu sasa hako na manifesto, hako na scorecard ya chama. Because we do not want to come to any constituency or any ward and we are struggling to tell the people what this administration has done. You allow people with propaganda na watu tu wa fitina waeleze wananchi hakuna kazi imefanyika. Today as I talk to you, the roads that had stalled, nyinyi mnajua, when we came into office, most contractors had left sites. Majority of the contractors had left sites. Lakini
so you hear what the president says, that everyone who was in that UDA gathering, they have a pamphlet that has the UDA, or rather the regime's scorecard. And Ruto is urging his foot soldiers to go into every forum to explain to people what they have done. But Ruto doesn't really understand that. When the government has done things, or when the government is working, they don't really work. They don't need to work that hard to convince people, because people see results before they can hear speeches. And there is no amount of talking that can outlive the lived experience. If life is already hard in Kenya, that we know how tough things can be on the ground. We know how tough it was for parents trying to get their kids back to school. I faced the same thing. I talked about it. Many parents have faced it. They've talked about it. The Ministry of Education knows what is going on. Yet Ruto talks about things are working. Ruto talks about, this healthcare that is working. Ruto talks about these developments. But we cannot see them. And it's not that we want to be ignorant, or it's not that but as I've said, people must see the results without all these kind of speeches that they have to make, trying to convince us that they are working. Or is it that the president asked us to move by faith and not by what we see? Because there's a time he said that we should move by faith, that the reason why most things don't happen in Kenya is because we do not have faith. We do not believe. Is this a matter of belief, or it's a matter of actually doing? Because the amount of looting that is happening in Kenya, this is not even corruption. You still think that our government is corrupt? Then you must be lost, because the government is not corrupt. At this rate is daylight thuggery. This is thieving. This is plundering of public funds, because there's nobody who's being questioned for it. There's no amount of these conferences or these forums that they will go that can fix the situation on the ground. What they needed to do is to do the actual work. But UDA doesn't believe in that. That's why you see Aden Duane will go on JKL Live and try to convince us that the money that was termed that lost in SHA is not actually lost. It's them protecting the money from being lost. I mean, they usually turn around things, you know what I'm saying? But now, as we approach 2027, things are going to be difficult because the president and his foot soldiers, they will use the big money, or the B's, the billions that we've always had billions being lost here and there. They're going to use this money to buy those people in the villages, those people who have no idea of what, they don't have social media to know exactly what is happening. They believe in what, and that's why, have you ever noticed that politicians don't like talking about politics or the things they have done in the cities? Because they know most people in the cities, they are capable of verifying this information. But when they go in the village, how many people in the village have access to smartphones and internet and all this, and they are capable of verifying information? That's why they like always their, those forums and those conferences and, gatherings, the chiefs in the villages to convince people what they have done, to make promises of how many billions they are going to put in this, put in that. But they know the people in the villages don't have the capability of doing the research and knowing how much money can actually be allocated for such projects. And the cycle continue. This is wild. This is why I believe, or I think that we should focus more on civic education. Focus more on teaching people, especially people in the villages, so that they can be able to, to have a better understanding, to be able to categorize, these promises and the things that can actually be done. Because this is wild. And I know Ruto and his regime, they have a lot of money that has been stolen from taxpayers. You heard the other day the auditor, the auditor general, what is her name? Kathongo or something? She said that around 300 billion cannot be accounted for. Where does this money go? The money that is being collected in Kenyatta National Hospital, where does that money go? Because it goes to the government. And then Kenyatta National Hospital doesn't even have resources to cater for their patients. Where does that money go? The money that is being borrowed for projects, the money that was given by the World Bank, where does this money go? Anyway, this is just my opinion. Let me hear your opinion and your views down in the comment